recording. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special edition of Healing Conversation. My name is Einav Avni with Untangled Coaching, and today I have with me Bhanu Joshi. And before I say hello to Bhanu, I want to just give you a quick background to this conversation. So probably about 10 months ago or so, I was introduced to Bhanu, who at that point had quite an extreme or severe chronic pain that he didn't know how to get rid of, basically. Bhanu is going to tell us the whole story in a minute, but I wanted just to introduce this idea of self-healing. How can we heal chronic pain without necessarily going to having operations and without being stuck with it for the rest of our lives? So this is the kind of introduction. Bhanu, hello. So good to have you.
Hello, everyone. So nice to be here.
Thank you. So let's start from the beginning. I mean, I just given a little bit of a background to how we got to know each other, but tell me a little bit about yourself. What was life before all of this pain started?
As far as I remember, and I think I've had pain and issues surrounding weird pain syndromes that nobody could understand from a very, very long time, since I think the age of 9. And nobody could ever understand what's happening with me. So in class 9, I suddenly started having stomach pain that nobody could understand. Then it went away after a couple of months. And then for a few years, I didn't have any pain. And on and off, things went on. And when I was passing out from my class 10, from my high school, I had to change my city. So I left all behind, all my friends, and then I moved to another city in India. And then I started having some back pain issues and some pain surrounding that, my shoulder. Things would start moving here and there, but I went to doctors, didn't really think about it because it was minimal pain. Still, I had pain. So that's how life has been for a very long time. And things started really getting worse when I was in Germany. And at this time, I was doing my PhD 2 years back. And right in the middle of my graduate school, I started having severe knee pain, and then I started having pain in the hip area, and things just would keep moving around, and I didn't understand why it was happening. And trying to understand this, I went to, of course, a lot of doctors, as everybody does. So bouncing from one doctor to the other, from neurologist to a radiologist, from radiologist to an orthopedic, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's opinion was different. What causes the pain? And right at the time when I met you, I had just gone through a very, very hard phase because the doctors gave me an epidural injection. And these are kind of injections that you get for your disc herniations, and they say it might try to relieve the pain. But something happened after the injection, and I started severely burning in my whole body, below my pelvis. And I still can feel that pain sometimes. It's like, something that tracks you out of your nerves. And that's at that time when I met you.
And so, as you said, you've always been to different doctors. So different doctors giving you different opinions and different diagnosis of whatever is going wrong, and none of them actually hits the mark, right? There's always other stories. And that time when we met, your pain, how strong was your pain at that point?
That time after the epidural, I think my pain was 10 on 10. I was burning. And being a researcher, the only thing I could do was continuously researching about what happened after the epidural. And there is something called arachnoiditis. You can read about it on the internet. And when you read about it, it sounds like the worst dream of your life. It's like a nightmare, because they say an epidural injection can go wrong. And if it goes within your spinal cord in this thin layer of the spinal cord, it can give you this nerve-wracking painful disease called arachnoiditis. And that's what they suspected I had. So after this epidural injection, I was permanently in a hospital for like 15 days. They did all the tests and they wanted to come out with something. So they found cysts inside my spinal cord, And they told me, well, that's where the pain is coming from. The other doctor said, no, it's arachnoiditis. So there was this again, a dilemma of what it is. And the only option they gave me was to go through a very, very bizarre, painful surgery for the spinal cord. They would open up my spinal cord and they would put an instrument inside it that would be there forever to drain that spinal cyst.
Oh.
So things like this, there was so many doctors, so many opinions, and the pain was not even being touched by the medicines or whatever they were giving. I literally had lost hope.
And before we met, were you actually considering going ahead with this surgery, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think I remember. So we met through my sister because you both are very good friends. And before that, I was in contact with my whole family, and all of them were pushing me to listen to the doctor because we were convinced that this thing can only be helped by a surgery, because otherwise the doctors assured me this is going to be my state and my condition for the rest of my life, and it's a disease that progresses. So it starts with pain, burning pain, and then starts to wreak havoc in your body because slowly things get worse, and you cannot walk, you ultimately end up in a wheelchair. That's the prognosis that the doctors gave me.
I get goosebumps when you say that.
Yeah.
And so how did it come about that we met? You as you said, you mentioned your sister that yes, she got in touch with me one day, but to say maybe I can talk with you a little bit. But how did that come about into your life? What is the other side of that?
Yeah, I think there was no hope left basically for us, and my sister somehow was watching some documentary. I remember it was called Heal. And she lives in the United States. I live in Germany. So the whole family was looking for solutions. And while doing this, I think Parul went and saw this documentary and told me, hey, listen, I saw this documentary. Maybe you should watch it. And there is one person I recommend you to talk to. Maybe the pain doesn't go away, but at least you'll be helped because you're in such a miserable condition. At that time, we had no idea about what is chronic pain, how you can relieve it. The only option was going to doctors, right? And then she told me that I should at least talk to you once and see how it feels. And that's it. The first talk we had, I think it gave me so much strength. And I thought, yeah, maybe I can do it.
And what changed, do you think? I mean, after that first call, what was in that first call that gave you that strength that gave you that hope?
I think it was one statement of yours that you said while we were talking. I think I was crying the first time we met. I was in a miserable condition. And we were talking about hope, about how magic can happen in lives. You just need to believe in it. And I think that's what I got onto. And I had, from a very scientific perspective in my whole life, which I had followed, things weren't working. So I thought, yeah, maybe I need to believe in some magic that I've missed. And then we began a journey.
Yes. And what's an interesting journey that's been, right? It has been a really, really interesting journey. And I think the interesting thing for me, first thing that is interesting for me is what you're saying, this recognition that actually you followed the science all your life, but you realized that actually the science wasn't working. There was something else that was needed. It's not to say that the science doesn't work elsewhere, but in this case, it just wasn't answering your needs. And this realization that actually maybe there is something else that is a part of it. This is it's so profound. And this is really what we were using, right? In our conversations, we were using a lot of things about really going deeper and understanding emotions and fears and hopes and conditioning and all of these kind of things to really slowly see how in a sense you ended up where you are today, or where you were back then, I should say.
Yes. The thing is, I think all the doctors that I've been to, they separated the mind and the body. The concept that the body can be fixed because there's just a structural problem where the pain comes from or where illness comes from,
Mm.
is something. I think it's outdated. I think you and me, what we did was we worked on my mind. We did nothing physical, right? There was nothing physical. I didn't take even one pill after that. I think we started talking. I was still taking some medicines that were prescribed to me, some gabapentin, some nerve pain medications, some anti-inflammatory medications. There was a bunch of medications I had at that time. And I think we met in August last year. I got the injection in July. I think we met in somewhere in late August.
Mm.
September. I think by the end of September, I was on no meds at all. I stopped taking all the meds. And then we were just working around with the brain, with the mind, with the feelings, with the emotions.
Mm.
And I think little by little, we squeezed out the things that were stuck in my body, on my mind. And then the pain started going away. How
Yeah.
incredible.
And I remember you telling me at some point that, and I think that was a very important turning point when you said that you actually noticed how when you went through an emotional event, you noticed that the pain would increase. And so when you were able to recognize, what the emotions were about and what the pain or the situation was about, the pain would go down. And to me, as soon as you understood that for yourself, we were really on the the home stretch. We just knew that we just needed to do more of the same.
Yeah, I think that point was very, very important. I think it was not just me. I think everybody saw it. And we were like, wow, my whole family could just see it. I got bad news from my doctor, who confirmed again that I had arachnoiditis. And at that time, I was back home in India and I was doing fairly well, much better than before. I was preparing for my sister's wedding and, I still had a lot of pain and everything, but I was going through it. I was marching through it. There were ups and downs. The symptoms were bizarre because I got every symptom possible. So I started with the burning in my legs, and then somehow the burning went away because I took a pill that I thought would help me. Uh, the burning went away for like 5-10 days. I got a strange headache, a headache that was so incredible. I got vertigos that did not stop for 10 days, and the burning was gone.
Mm.
And then the burning came back, the vertigo was gone, and then I started having knee pain, incredible knee pain. And at that time, I had lesser burning than knee pain. So the symptoms went all around my body. And I got news from my doctor, another doctor that we had. We were kind of sending our documents to sending my documents everywhere in the world, from United States to obscure places in Germany where these so-called specialists for these very unknown diseases were. And one of these doctors got back during this time when I was feeling a little better. I didn't have burning at that time. I opened up my email. The email said, unfortunately, you have arachnoiditis. My burning came back in 5 seconds after reading that email.
Yeah, it's so interesting to be able to look back and to recognize really how, as we just said, how the emotions dictates in this case the pain level and how you're feeling. And
The thing is, as we go through our lives, sometimes we just somehow, I don't know why, we cannot make that connections ourselves. It's just so hard because life is like an illusion, right? You're kind of doing something, you're going through your life, you're so involved in your mind, inside your mind, that everything else is kind of blurted out. So you don't see that connection, that something happened, some event happened in your life, and you start getting pain. That's completely out of the picture because it's like the mind doesn't remember anything like from 3 hours back behind. You don't make those connections.
yeah, and I think you're right. I think at that time when we have the pain, our mind focuses only on the pain and why is it painful? What can I do about it? Is there anything I can do about it? And with it, this incredible fear of there might be nothing that I can do about it. And especially, of course, in your case, where everyone was, all the doctors were saying different things that were contradicting itself. And, what are you supposed to do with it?
I think the fear is one of the things that drives the pain. It keeps on occupied, keeps you occupied.
Mm,
and you don't think of anything else. So it's like you're perpetually stuck in this fight or flight mode.
mm,
Like I am trying to fight it because the only way I know how to fight it is by reading more research, and that reinstigates the fear cycle. So I read more, I get more fearful of, oh my god, the prognosis is horrible, I'm never going to get better. But I keep reading it because I think that's the only way I know how to, heal myself. Because maybe I find some solution somewhere, some doctor, some person on this earth somewhere where I can go to and I'll be healed. I'll maybe have a reduction in pain because you're so much in pain. What else do you do, right?
yeah, and I remember the first time that we spoke, I remember asking you, nearly begging you to not do the research, to leave Google alone, and to just, instead of going external, go internal, to really start connecting with yourself rather than all of this myriad of information that you can find online.
I do see that now, but at that time when you're in pain, I think it sounds absurd. Why
Yeah.
should I go inside? The pain is in my body, not in my head. And the first thing that comes to your mind is, hey, I'm not creating this pain just because I want it. I don't want it.
Yeah,
So,
and it's very important
that's
just to
very,
mention.
very important.
It really important to also mention that we don't at all think that the pain is in someone's mind. We know that the pain is real, so it's very important to to just reaffirm that we know the pain is real, but what we're saying is that actually there are other, the pain, as we know, is not structural, not necessarily because there's anything structural wrong with you, but because there's all these other elements which are emotional and mind related that are contributing to it.
Yeah. I can 100% certify that the pain is real and it's torturous.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the healing comes from the mind. And that's, I think, what these exercises that we've been doing for so long start to show you, start to help you with, is to utilize this power within you to heal. Because once you heal from within, I think your body starts to heal on its own.
Yes.
The pain starts going away. I think illness, most of it, a lot of it at least, actually comes because not that the body goes bad, that's a consequence.
Mm.
I think that the mind and the emotions go bad. I think the life goes wrong somewhere. You lose touch with your own true real self, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's when we go so far away out of, outside of our values, and we don't, we basically really steer away from our path, and we don't know all of a sudden, right? We don't remember where our path is, so we just go along with whatever we're doing at that moment. And basically, with every moment that we're going through, we're moving further and further away from our path, from our truth, from our inner wisdom. And I think what we've done together is really to basically get you back to that place where you really are aligned with who you are.
Yeah, and squeezing out all these emotions that were kind of felt but remained unfelt,
Mm.
or maybe you keep them in your body somehow. You don't deal with them at the right time, and you carry them around with you. So a lot of things, right? I still don't know the perfect picture of it. It's not in my head, but all these elements are there, and they all form a part of the healing. I'm still basically, right now my pain level has dropped from 10 to almost 0. It's 1 or 2 here and there. I see it sometimes when I'm not stressed at all. I don't even remember I had ever any kind of pain. Sometimes here and there I get burning, I get a twitch, I start. The thing is, the symptoms keep moving, but they've dropped from level 10 to level 1.
Mhm.
And with a little more practice, I think that's going to be history. All the pain syndromes of my life.
Yeah, and just really, and nowadays, when you do feel the pain, when the pain comes back, you already have a practice of what to do, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah. So I have a roadmap, which, maybe I can do this. Well, the first thing is to ask myself, hey, what's wrong with my life right now? What just happened? What emotion did I feel that I could not face, or something scared me, or something made me sad, hurt, all these emotions. And then once I figure that out, I try to tell myself calmly, hey, it's all right. I can handle it. I deal with it. I feel it. I think the next day the pain is gone, or like maybe in a few hours either also, or
Yeah.
maybe it changes. It goes from one thing to the other.
Yeah, but I think it's so interesting that it's exactly that. When you feel the pain, you're able to ask yourself, what is scaring me? Because as we said, right, the mind is generating the pain because it doesn't feel safe in some way. So when you are able to, when you notice the pain and you can say, well, what is scaring me? What is going on? Maybe something come up, maybe something is upsetting me. You're now able to have a completely different conversation with yourself to when you had before. And to me, it's so interesting because, of course, especially because of your, scientific background, it's really all about the brain mind, right? It's all about everything that makes sense, everything that is logical and practical and all of that. And here we were talking about, the heart mind. What does the heart tell you? What are the emotions? What are the feelings? What are the frustrations? And really, when we started bringing more of that into the open, things started to become different, because all of a sudden, your subconscious mind was actually feeling like you're paying attention to it. And that's, that's kind of, that was the beginning of this journey.
Yeah, rightly said. And there's so many elements we came across. We dealt with so many things using different methods, and I think there's so much potential in this. There's so much potential in this. There's so many people dealing with different kind of pain syndromes. There's different kind of problems. There's different kind of illnesses. I wonder how many people can use this and reduce their pain, or also be pain free completely.
Yeah. So talking about these other people, what final message do you have to anyone listening before we finish for today?
That pain, or in general illness, may not be just a bodily problem. It might be coming out from some emotional states that are disturbing you in some way. So paying attention not just to the body, but also to the mind and also to the spirit is very, very important. Spirit in the sense of, you can have different spiritual practices. It doesn't mean religious. It's just like, for me, it's mindfulness or meditation. It can be different for different people. And I think clearing out your emotions, and it might take a little bit of time and patience, but you got to give it that. If you can do this for a bit of time, you will see a huge reduction in your symptoms, and I guarantee you that.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. It also the reminder that it's not necessarily, well, it's not a magic pill, right? It's not
Yeah,
a magic wand. It is a journey. You do, in the way that we were doing it, we went into such deep places that maybe you've never been to before. And once they were out in the open, you were able to deal with them in a way that, now it was in conscious awareness. You could deal with it. You could say to yourself, actually, I understand where it's coming from, and now I can deal with it, because when it was hidden, you couldn't, right?
yeah.
So
I didn't even see where the problem lies, or things can be there inside you from way back in childhood, and it's not just dealt with. And once you deal with it, I think it just poof goes away, vanishes, and then you're free of that.
yeah,
And it's not only structural, bodily, physical problems. I think a lot of psychological problems like insomnia, and I even had insomnia, by the way, for a while. And insomnia and other psychological issues can also, PTSD, all these things can also be dealt with very, very nicely with this.
yeah. And I think I just want to add that really, it's not, it doesn't mean anything about you necessarily as a person. You're not broken. You're not, it doesn't, you don't have to have very many psychological challenges to end up with chronic pain. It just basically means that you had situation like we all have or had, and you just don't know how to deal with it necessarily, as so many of us don't know how to deal with these things. So we go through events and trauma in our lives, then we just say, well, I'm fine, I'm fine. And we kind of glaze over it. And then slowly there is that build-up. And if it so happened that, our body, there's already some, imbalance anyway, kind of this combination ends up creating this situation. So just really want to say that it can happen to all of us, to any of us. And it's just so empowering in my mind to know that we can deal with it, not just by going and have surgery and, spend years in hospital. We can do this by understanding some of these blockages that we didn't realize were there.
Yeah, rightly said. I think there's so many people who are on and on going to different doctors, hospitals in search of a cure for their problems, but they are disappointed, and at some point people people are there who suffered for 20 years. Imagine 20 years. I suffered for 1 year, and not even that, lesser than that. And it's debilitating. It's like you don't want to live anymore, right? I was at a point of time where I didn't want to live anymore, and imagine how much the world can be helped by that.
But it's so wonderful to talk to you now, after this year or so that we spent together, and to see that you are so much, you're back to your life, right? Your pain, as you said, is nearly zero. Sometimes it still comes back. The journey is not finished yet, but it is really so incredible to see you now compared to how you were when we just started working together. And I am forever grateful for this connection that we have and for this journey that we've been through together.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. That's so great. Thank you so much, Anna, for all this help. It's incredible. It's incredible. I, in my whole life, had no idea if this would be something that would happen like that. Like something like this could happen, basically. Like it's like magic, the real magic that you promised me in the starting.
And here we are. We just did a full circle.
Yeah, and even if I have pain today or here and there, it doesn't limit me. It doesn't do anything, because I tell my body, hey, what are you doing here? You don't belong here. And I keep on doing my things. The thing is, if the pain continues till you're in fear of the pain, and if I keep doing my things, yeah, it'll hurt me a little, maybe. Sometimes my hip hurts, but then I walk more than I do every day. Then I walk like maybe 5 kilometers, and then by the time I'm back, the pain is gone.
See, you found your way.
Yeah, right. And I think I stopped doing everything completely when I was having pain. Everything was on a pause in my life. I remember not sitting, I used to lying down on my bed and thinking, oh my God, if only I could get one more shot at life, I would love to, do something, fulfill some of my dreams, would love to go running or things like that. Well, I got another shot now.
That is so beautiful.
Without any medicines.
Without any surgery. Yes. Bhanu, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your journey with me and with anyone who is listening. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Einav. I hope everybody gets a small message from this, and maybe it does help somebody.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.